Hey, welcome to The Explainer. The world of AI can feel like it's split in two. On one side, you've got these huge, futuristic visions, and on the other, you have what's actually working on the ground. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise and give you a full 360-degree view of both, where the big dreams are heading and where AI is already making a real difference.
And if you want to understand just how big those ambitions are, you really don't have to look any further than this quote from NVIDIA's CEO. I mean, he's not just talking about making some better software here. He's literally talking about creating a perfect digital copy of our entire industrial world, a virtual twin. Imagine being able to simulate and perfect everything from a single factory to an entire city grid before you even lay a single brick. The scale of that idea is just staggering.
Okay, so that's a powerful long-term vision, for sure. But what about right now? Beyond the big headlines and the grand plans for the future, where are companies and researchers actually putting AI to work and seeing real, tangible results? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down next.
So, let's kick things off with the enterprise. What's really fascinating to see is that AI is finally breaking out of the data science lab. It's not just a niche tool anymore. It's becoming a fundamental part of how businesses actually run. And, as you're about to see, it's popping up in some pretty unexpected places. This is that virtual twin idea in action. What companies like NVIDIA and Dassault Systèmes are doing is building these incredible platforms that are completely changing manufacturing. You can see the shift right here. We're moving away from the old way on the left, with expensive physical prototypes in departments that don't talk to each other, to this new world on the right, a fully digital factory you can tweak and test in real time. This is all about making things faster, smarter, and way more efficient. And it's not just about giant factories either. Take a look at this story from BGL. They had a classic business problem, a huge bottleneck in data analysis that was slowing everything down. So by bringing in an AI agent from AWS, they were able to achieve what they called democratized BI. And all that really means is that now, anyone in the company, not just a specialized analyst, can get the data insights they need whenever they need them. The big takeaway here is that AI is becoming an analysis tool for everybody. And just to prove how universal these tools are becoming, let's jump from heavy industry straight to the soccer pitch. The German football club VfL Wolfsburg is actually using ChatGPT across their entire organization. They're using it to boost efficiency in their operations, get more creative with marketing, you name it. It's just a perfect example of how the core ideas behind AI can apply literally anywhere. So, if that's what's happening in business today, what's powering the apps we're going to see tomorrow? Well, for that, we've got a peek inside the research labs. That's where the next big breakthroughs are being cooked up. And the stuff they're working on is just mind-blowing. In bioscience, AI is designing brand new enzymes from scratch. In pure math, it's helping researchers discover things they never could have found on their own. It's even being used for huge global challenges, like giving us super accurate weather forecasts for areas at high risk, or even automatically inspecting critical infrastructure, like sewer systems. AI is basically becoming a fundamental tool for science itself. Let's make this more concrete with a really cool example from filmmaking. So in movies, pre-production is everything. But filmmakers have always had this tough choice: either use fast, simple storyboards or spend a ton of time and money on complex 3D models. Well, now researchers have come up with something called generative video pre-visualization. It's basically a hybrid that lets directors mock up really complex shots quickly and cheaply. It gives them so much more creative freedom before the expensive cameras even start rolling. But, the path from the research lab to the phone in your pocket is never a straight line. It's super important to remember there are always bumps in the road. For example, developers are trying to run some of these advanced AI models on consumer devices, even powerful new ones like the next iPhone, and they're just getting garbage results. It's a great reminder that getting these complex models to work smoothly on real-world hardware is a huge challenge all on its own. Okay, so we've got these amazing enterprise applications and some really cutting-edge research. But what's holding it all together? What's powering everything? Well, that brings us to the foundation of it all, the open-source community building the tools and infrastructure for everyone. And in this ecosystem, you've got a few key players that all have their own important role. You've got Hugging Face, which is kind of like the central hub for the community, making models and data available to everyone. Then there's Together AI, who are focused on the heavy-duty infrastructure, the AI factories, needed to train these massive models. And of course, you have OpenAI, who, as we saw with that football club, is proving that this tech can work way outside the tech bubble. They all play a different but absolutely vital part.
And what's so cool is that this rich ecosystem leads to all sorts of grassroots innovation. Just look at some of the recent tools popping up on Product Hunt. You find really clever things like GitGuessr, which is a game designed to help developers get better at reading code. Or Benny AI, which is trying to create a more natural, face-to-face AI buddy for your video calls. These smaller, focused tools are just as much a part of the AI story as those giant industrial platforms.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground, from enterprise to research to the open source world, so let's take a step back and pull it all together. What are the big picture takeaways from this 360-degree view of AI today?
It really all boils down to three key trends, and they all feed into each other. First, industrial integration isn't a someday thing, it's happening right now. AI is officially part of core operations. Second, open source is the absolute bedrock that all of this is built on. And third, the research happening in labs is directly and rapidly fueling new applications. It's this powerful loop between industry, open source, and research that's making the whole field move at this incredible speed.
And that leaves us with one last, really critical question to think about. As AI becomes this fundamental engine for our economy and for science itself, the stakes just get higher and higher. It stops being just a technical question and becomes a societal one. Who gets to set the rules of the road for a technology this powerful? Who decides the ethics and the policy? That is the conversation we all need to be having. Thanks for joining us.